Hi, my name is Mike Langlois, and one of the things I'm really fortunate to be able to do is to go all across the nation and talk with people about the interface between technology and the mind and how we relate to each other. And when I talk about therapy and I talk about psychology, it often seems a little counterintuitive at first when people are thinking about technologies. But in fact, psychodynamic theory, the kind of theory that I'm really interested in, was an emerging technology that really borrowed from the technologies of the time. So for example, at the time that Freud came up with this, we were talking a lot about locomotion and steam engines. And so from that, Freud gave us the idea of the drives, this energy that propels us forward, something that we're not always conscious of, but that's always there, kind of like a steam engine. Fast forward to the 21st century, we're still learning about new and emerging technologies, and they have a lot of relevance to what people do in therapy and how people live their lives. One of the things that gets me very, very excited about the field of therapy right now is the form of play therapy using video games. Wait, now I know a lot of therapists out there are not big fans of video games. There's a lot of hype in the media about how video games cause violence, video games make us distracted, but actually there's a lot of research that supports the idea that video games are actually doing powerful, useful things in our brains. One of the things that video games and therapy have in common has to do with something we call the illusory attitude. And that's basically a fancy way of talking about a playful attitude. Now, there was this man named Bernard Suits who defined play in a very interesting way. And he said, play is the voluntary attempt to overcome an unnecessary obstacle. Now that is a little complicated at first, but what it means is really best understood if I tell you about golf. Okay, so for example, if you were doing golf and you just wanted to get the ball in the hole, you'd get a really big hole and you'd drop a really little ball in it. You'd walk right over to it. That would be absolutely no fun, but that would be how you would do it most easily. So how do we make it fun? Well, we take the hole, we make it really small. We take the ball and you can't drop it in. You have to hit it with a golf club over a distance. Suddenly, we've put all these unnecessary obstacles in, and it's kind of fun. That's what the illusory attitude is. But what if I told you that video games actually can help you learn how to live life better? See, one of the things about video games in the 21st century is that not only are they meaningful in forms of art, but they're actually forms of social media. There are ways we communicate with each other. There are ways we understand shared experience. Video games have some nuggets of information that we can get from them. We apply the principles of mindfulness, of resilience, and of empathy, and they're all encoded in video games. Video games, like any form of play, both resemble reality, but they're different from it. You have to know that it's a game in order for it to be fun. So if there are things in the video game that you can learn, you can take it out of the game and into real life. The kids and some of the adults I work with often engage with each other while we're playing video games. And through that, we're exploring all sorts of things. But probably the most important thing we're exploring is how to deal with optimal frustration and how to deal with failure. Because here's a fun fact for you. 80% of the time you play a video game, you're failing at it. That's right, 80% of the time you're playing a game, you're either dying or falling off the cliff or just failing at whatever the project in the game is. And so what does it mean when somebody plays and fails and plays and fails and keeps trying? That's what we call in therapy resilience. And it's something that we're really overlooking with adolescents and kids and some adults when we talk about how they're failing at other things in life. So sometimes when you're inclined to take away the video game because they're not doing other things, stop for a minute and think about that. Because what if you're taking away the one thing that they've been practicing persistence and resilience, the one thing that they've been experiencing some sense of progress? You might want to think again before you tell them to turn that off.